All right, welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are embarking on what I can honestly only describe as an epic internal quest. We're diving into the I Am method, which was created by global leadership strategist Mabel Iam. But listen, we aren't just going to sit here and dryly list off facts and figures today. No way. We're going to explore this whole framework like a movie. Think of it as a cinematic journey, a literal hero's path to upgrading your very own human operating system. So get ready because we're diving deep into the actual biology of leadership and flow. So let me just kick things off by asking you a super direct question. Who is really operating your life right now? Like, are you truly the pilot of your own ship? Or if we're being completely honest and looking really closely, are past traumas, ancient survival instincts, and a highly reactive ego actually the ones sitting in the captain's chair? In the I Am method, recognizing exactly who is at the controls is step number one of this whole journey. Okay, let's dive into this. The entire methodology basically centers on this massive fundamental shift in identity. It's all about moving from being a performer to becoming an operator. Now, the performer, man, they live an exhausting life. They're constantly reactive, they rely on just sheer brute force, this really effortful self-improvement, and they're always trying to push through resistance. Basically, they let life happen to them. But the operator, completely different story. The operator is regulated, they're aligned, and they are just flowing. They don't try to force outcomes. Instead, they command their internal system so naturally that results just happen through them. To actually make this shift, though, we really have to understand our equipment. Think of your biological body, your nervous system, your brain, the 40,000 sensory neurites in your heart. Think of all of that as your hardware. But here's the catch. Here's the problem. This hardware is literally 200,000 years old. It was originally built to help us dodge actual literal dinosaurs. But obviously, we're living in the modern world now, which means we desperately need a software upgrade if we want to stop our systems from constantly crashing. And that's exactly what the I Am method is. It provides that new software, a series of regulatory codes and archetypes specifically designed to run our ancient hardware way more efficiently. And hey, every hero needs a treasure map, right? Ours is the Unified Emotional Guidance Scale. It's brilliantly laid out as a single continuous spiral. It shows us the exact path from the absolute chaos of the downward spiral, which is where we're just reacting in pure survival mode, all the way up to the sovereignty and high performance of the upward spiral. It's literally tracking our nervous system's exact state of regulation. So every great movie starts with an inciting incident, right? That moment where the hero suddenly realizes they're trapped. We'll call this Act 1, the trap of the Matrix. This is that downward spiral. It's the place where we are quite literally hijacked by our own biology. And I want to be super clear here. Falling into this, it's not a moral failing. Not at all. It is strictly a biological contraction. Down in this spiral, things are incredibly tense. Your ego is basically using those ancient dinosaur survival mechanisms to try and protect you, but honestly, it just ends up creating all this stress-induced chaos. You drop straight into victim consciousness. You start feeling like, life just happens to me. Cortisol completely floods your system. Then the inner judge takes over, and this judge is usually fueled by old ghost traumas that make you feel invisible or inadequate. If you're in sales or leadership, being in this state creates what the method perfectly calls commission breath. It's this desperate, really forceful energy that instantly triggers defense mechanisms in literally everyone around you. It's a state of super low performance, deep fear, and just massive emotional drain. But then we take a breath and we finally reach the turning point. Right there in the middle of our map is level 9, gratitude. This is the bridge state. When you are in complete biological freefall, gratitude acts as the 0 point. It's this neutral, grounding space that completely halts your descent. It stops the panic, it fully restores your ability to choose, physically pulling you out of that frantic survival field and into a coherent field where actual regulation finally becomes possible. And that brings us to this incredibly profound piece of mentor advice from Mabel Iam herself. She says, authority begins the moment the nervous system settles. I mean, wow, think about that for a second. True leadership, true confidence, it isn't loud. It's not about dominating a boardroom or aggressively pushing a sail down someone's throat. It is biologically calm. People just instinctively trust a regulated nervous system. Okay, so how do we actually get there? Cue the movie training montage. To completely upgrade our software, we move rapidly through the 6 stages of internal evolution. First up, we unlock the mind to establish neural authority. Then boom, we hit stabilization and regulation to create a deep sense of internal safety. Next is coherence and self-trust, where we're actively transmuting resistance into resonance. Moving into stage 4, we unlock flow and adaptive performance. Stage 5 brings embodied leadership. And finally, the pinnacle, we achieve metacognitive mastery. We are literally rewiring our responses at superhuman speed here. Now, what's really fascinating here is the ultimate battle. This is the fight against our own internal saboteur. Whenever you face an objection or a rejection in life, you basically have two choices. Do you enter the hook state? That's where your ego completely identifies with the rejection. You see it as a very personal threat, and it makes you freeze, fight, or fawn. Or do you activate the ghost state? This is where you become a completely neutral observer. That rejection, it's just transparent data passing right through you like a ghost. Defeating that inner ghost requires some serious tactical evasion. It's basically an action sequence made entirely of somatic rituals. First, you use the sovereign command. You literally stack your spine and visualize a golden pillar of light locking in your core authority. Next is the ghost command. When a rejection hits you, you actually visualize it as an arrow passing completely harmlessly through your mist-like body. Then, the power breath. Inhale deeply through your nose for 5 seconds and exhale sharply through your mouth for 8 seconds. That instantly flushes out cortisol and signals absolute safety to your vagus nerve. Finally, there's quantum purification. Visualize your quantum field extending about 2 meters all around you, and just watch all those toxic, cloudy memories turn to smoke and blow completely away, leaving nothing but empty, luminous space. Let's just sit with this core I am maxim for a second. Strength resists, flow passes through. You know, our natural human instinct is to brace for impact, right? To fight back against any resistance with sheer brute force. But true, untouchable power? It isn't fighting. It's transmuting that energy. It's letting the resistance pass completely through you so you can remain totally collaborative and perfectly aligned. And that seamlessly brings us to Act 3, the climax and the resolution of our cinematic journey. Having successfully defeated that inner saboteur and fully upgraded our mental software, our hero, which is you, by the way, now ascends the spiral. You are no longer just surviving. You are creating. You are boldly stepping into your real self, which is authored by your original design, not by years of exhausting social conditioning. Let's see how all of this builds into the absolute ultimate state, high-performance flow. Your biology is literally humming. Your heart rate variability sinks to a perfect 0.1 hertz, which, amazingly, is the exact resonance of the Earth itself. You enter this incredible state of transient hypofrontality. Now, that's just a fancy scientific way of saying that the nagging inner judge in your brain has been completely and utterly silenced. Selling, leading, creating, it all suddenly feels entirely natural. Your actions arise from sheer presence, not pressure, and it results in effortless execution and just lightning-fast intuition. And right at the very pinnacle of this incredible journey, you unlock Module 10, the Great Observer. This is absolute metacognition. You're now operating from a complete bird's eye view. You can observe your own thoughts and your own emotions in real time as adjustable patterns, rather than these fixed absolute truths. You aren't trapped inside the reaction anymore. You are hovering way above the process. You have officially become the true sovereign operator of your own biological and cognitive system. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final, slightly provocative thought. You now have the map. You know the exact difference between your clunky 200,000-year-old hardware and the absolute quantum software of your mind. So what future will you manifest now that you finally hold the ultimate operating codes? The script is entirely yours to write. Thank you so much for joining me on this cinematic journey through the I Am method. Now go out there, settle that nervous system, and take the pilot seat.